If you're a smoker or vapor ready to make a change, you really only need one good reason. But with Zyn nicotine pouches, you'll discover many good reasons. Zyn is America's #1 nicotine pouch brand. Plus, Zyn offers a robust rewards program. There are lots of options when it comes to nicotine satisfaction. But there's only one Zyn. Check out zyn.com/find to find Zyn at a store near you. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
If you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right, Grainger knows you need to understand what's wrong as soon as possible. So when a conveyor motor falters, Grainger offers diagnostic tools like calibration kits and multimeters to help you identify and fix the problem. With Grainger, you can be confident you have everything you need to keep your facility running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hello and welcome to 31 Days of Terror 2025, and we are on day number 4, and we have one spooky story for you today, and our story comes from Aubrey. I've often thought I ought to write in some of my family lore, but I never got around to it. I'm a big time procrastinator. Today I listened to episode number 452 and I knew I had to write in. Nearly every story reminded me of my childhood. That episode mentions loved ones visiting at the time of death and pets having souls. I've got a ton of stories about these things. I was the spooky kid you'd want to punt down a set of stairs, so I will narrow it down to a really difficult time in my life. I had just had another miscarriage and went to visit my family 9 hours south of my home. I needed to be with my people. Right before the miscarriage, I had a dream that I had the baby in bed, and that it was grey and tiny, and slipped right out of my hands and beneath my bed. I jumped out of bed and finally woke up digging beneath the bed trying to find the baby, knowing that this meant the baby wasn't viable. This was my 3rd miscarriage, and the other ones had dreams like this before, or saw a grim reaper in the reflection in a mirror behind me, but when I turned it wasn't there. I always got signs, so when it happened it wasn't as unexpected. While visiting my parents' house, we got a call from my grandpa, who, looking back, was exhibiting early signs of Alzheimer's. He called to tell my dad he wasn't sure how my grandma was pregnant, but that she was as big as a 9-month pregnant lady and he'd like to get to the bottom of it and who she was having an affair with. He accused my dad of having an affair with her. It was truly bizarre, but again, hindsight. The day before I had visited and Grandma was drinking a ton of water, and I thought she was mad at me because she wouldn't look me in the eye and seemed agitated with me, which was weird, because I don't think she's ever been mad at me longer than to say my first and middle name in her thick southern accent, and then we'd laugh. My mom rushed to get to their house. Grandma's belly was huge. She was admitted to the hospital with congestive heart failure. When I saw her in the hospital, the doctor called us all together to give her the news at the same time, that they had found that she had stage 4 cancer. When I saw Grandma's face react to the news, I burst out bawling. She hugged me and told me that she was determined to beat it. Once Grandma was released and settled, I had to go home. It had been weeks, and my bigger kids had school. When home, I was more tired than usual, and I found out that I was pregnant again. I prayed to God, which I hadn't for a long old time, and begged him that if I had to give up one, I'd give up this baby if he let my grandma live. That I didn't know this baby yet, but I knew my grandma, and if he had to take one, take the baby. I know this might be off-putting, as I told someone this once and they looked at me like I was a monster. I had a miscarriage, and my grandma was doing great considering. She called me after an appointment to tell me that her doctor told her she had a 90% chance of beating this thing with the chemo that they have now. I was so happy and it felt like a worthy trade. I went down and visited her as often as possible with my 2 older kiddos. Almost losing her was too much to bear. She was my person. Even before this, any time I was bored, I'd call her to chat to for hours while I was cleaning my house. I could talk to her forever. She taught my oldest to read and gave the kids and me a hint of her accent. My kids adored my grandparents. I wound up pregnant again and she asked me why I was putting myself through it again. I told her it was because I love babies and I wanted more. I asked her if she knew before having her son that he would die and that she'd only have him for 23 years, would she still have had him? Of course, she said. When I was about 5 months along, I called her. She said, "Hun, remember how I told you that I'd fight until my quality of life wasn't there? I'm so tired. I can't work my puzzle books. I can't stay awake to watch my shows. I just want to sleep. But I have another chemo round in a bit. Your mom's on her way." There was a pause and then she said, "I don't want to go. I want to be done with chemo. I don't think it's working." I steadied myself and choked back tears and made sure that I sounded as confident and strong as she needed me to be. I said, "Well then don't go." "You know what'll happen if I don't. It means I'll..." "I know," I said. "I love you. Only you know your body. You know how much you can take. And if you can't take it anymore..." "I really can't," she said. It took all that I could muster to say, "Well then stop." "Okay, kid, your mom's here. I love you." I told her to tell my mom what she had just told me. I wasn't sure she had when my mom called later. She said Grandma could barely make it a few steps and had to keep resting at every place she could, going into the chemo office. Good thing the building had so many benches. I told her about my talk with Grandma and firmly said that she needed to tell her it was okay to stop, that Grandma was only doing it for her and that she needed to let her go. I never talked to my grandma again. In the hospital, she started talking about a little girl climbing on the bed and a little black cat. I wondered if my baby might be a girl. I wanted a surprise. I kept hearing a name in my head. Lottie. That was my great-grandmother's sister's name, and she was my grandmother's favourite. I texted my mom and told her I was thinking of maybe naming the baby Lottie if it was a girl because I'm obsessed with it. She said that Grandma, right before she had opened her eyes, smiled into space and said, "Lottie? How did you get here?" And then eased back to sleep after smiling a while. I knew that meant Lottie was coming to gather her. I heard her dying the night before over the phone. I wish I could forget the sounds of it. I prayed so hard out loud that she would hurry and go and find my great-grandpa, who she called Daddy till the day she died. I told her to go and find her son, who tragically passed in his early 20s. We had had her for so long, and she needed to rest and be with them now. I told her we'd miss her, but please, please let go. I heard her voice so clearly say, "Oh, hun," and I felt that for sure she would pass that night. I could not sleep. My mom kept calling, and hearing Grandma struggle to breathe was a lot to take. I finally went to lie down. I prayed to my great-grandpa to come and get his precious girl and to end her suffering. As I laid there, I had one of those dreams that are not dreams. It was all dark, and into focus came my great-grandpa, smiling at me and laughing. Then I saw Grandma's face, their twin profiles looking at each other and smiling so big, and the absolute joy that filled their faces was gorgeous. I sat up and I knew she had just passed. My phone rang about a minute later, and I could hear my mom crying. She couldn't talk. I told her not to be sad because she was with her daddy. It hit me that this was exactly 9 months from the day that she was diagnosed. Babies take 9 months to form. I feel like maybe this was a sign to me that God was real and that this was his message to me. Seeing my grandma look like herself when she was in her 40s and my great-grandpa about 60 confirmed to me that wherever they were, it sure looked like heaven. When my great-grandma found out my grandma died, she laid down in bed and cried. She stopped eating and refused to drink. She said she was tired and had had grandchildren die, and it just didn't make sense for a 96-year-old to hold on any longer. She told me that she'd have my uncle, Grandma's brother, send her rocking chair to my house. His rocker is amazing. She was a quilter and had upholstered it with jewel-tone velvet and golden zigzags. It is the one thing I always remember being in any house she lived in. She told me, "I will let you have it on one condition. Rock that baby in it when it gets here." I rocked all my babies in that chair, but I won't be around for this new one. I begged her not to talk that way, but she had her mind made up. She passed 2 weeks after my grandma died. Fast forward to a few months later. I had my little girl, and when I saw her hair, curly and white, I told my husband, "She has my grandma's hair." I cried, and it was such a mix of emotions. This baby I had tried for years, and the fact that I couldn't pick up the phone and tell my grandma the baby was here. To miss out on them knowing each other, and to watch the joy in grandma's eyes over my kid. But the baby was healthy and tiny and perfect. So bittersweet. I laid in bed one day watching a show about the Dust Bowl and hearing the accents of my grandma and great-grandparents in them. I looked down at my baby and asked my grandma out loud, "Why haven't you come and visited me? Do you see her? Isn't she beautiful?" I told her I missed her so much. And then the weirdest thing happened. I heard this sound like twinkling bells and looked up to see blue glittery lights like a portal opened up. I sat up and looked and could see my uncle's silhouette coming. When I was little, he died, and he came to me often as a kid. I used to tell my mom and my grandma that he could talk to me without talking, in my brain. Most 5-year-olds don't know the word telepathic. It was the same this time. He let me know without words that my grandma wasn't able to visit, that she knew about the baby and was so proud of us. Then, just like that, he was gone. I'd think I dreamt it, but I was leaning over the baby and talking to her when it happened. A few days after she was born, I remembered my promise to rock the baby in the chair. I sat down in it and rocked, and I said, "Mama, I'm rocking the baby for you. I sure miss you." Then I heard her clear as day say my name, but in a quizzical manner. She was very religious and believed in the divide between our world and the spirit world, and often said, "Never the twain shall meet." Though she was the spookiest storyteller and would play Ouija with her eyes closed, because if she wasn't looking, it wasn't a sin. I missed her so much too. Not many people get to meet their great-grandparents, and I got that little sweetie for 3.5 decades. Fast forward 2 more years. I found out I was pregnant. I saw a white Grim Reaper rocking a baby. I googled white Grim Reaper, asked anyone who might be a little bit on the spooky side about it but couldn't decode it. But the pregnancy was going well, so I figured the white cloak meant life and I moved on. Soon after that, my first baby, a double-clawed grey cat, was so sick. After huge vet bills and trying to force-feed him meds that he couldn't swallow, we decided that he needed mercy. The vet let me hold him, kiss him, wrap him in a blanket, and tell him I loved him while we put him to sleep. I wanted him to know that I was there with him when he left, and I hoped that he could feel my love. We loved him for 17 long years, and he was the best, most rotten cat you would ever meet. He loved 3 a.m. zoomies, complete with knocking anything off any flat surface because how dare anything get in his way when he needed to lay there. He once ran down the hallway, jumped like a leopard and pulled down my entire Christmas tree, breaking many ornaments. He was a good time, and I still miss him. When I would sleep on my side, curled up, he would jump in bed and lay in the nest on top of my blanket between the L of my butt and my feet. I kept thinking I saw him one day, and told him out loud that I sure missed him, but that it was okay to move on. I went to nap with my toddler and my big old baby belly. My daughter fell asleep, and I could hear the sound of my cat's clickety-claws on my floor. I felt the familiar bump as he jumped into bed with me, and his sassy little jaunt walking across my bed to get to me. I turned and looked behind me. Nothing was there, but then I felt him, his little spin and sudden flop in the L behind my legs. I tried to pet him, which, in hindsight, sounds stupid. I felt nothing, but it made me smile, because I knew that he was telling me he loved me and was still around. I have 4 cats now. One of them is a little black runt of a girl, who I found nearly dead outside and nursed her back to life. She is a vicious, loving little emo cat and I adore her. She loves hard and gets mad on a dime. I'd like to think my grandma sent that little spitfire to me. I like to think that maybe it was my cat climbing on my grandma's hospital bed, keeping her company until she was earthside. My oldest decided to move out with her 2-year-old after we got into a fight. I thought I would absolutely die. She was a teen mom, and I was basically the other parent to this child. Stayed up all night with gas, helped out when she was in school, etc., so it hurt. Then COVID hit. My husband told me, "You know we still have to stay away from them for 2 weeks." I went into the garage to avoid him seeing me cry. 2 weeks felt so long. Little did we know, right? I was bawling my head off when I smelt my grandpa. He died 5 years and 1 day after my grandma did. I stopped crying and felt love and warmth, almost like a hug. Then I heard him say, "Now you know how much we love you." Waterworks. But it is true. I now know how deeply and truly they adored me. I have 3, soon to be 4 grandkids. I get to be a young grandma and hopefully will live to be 96 plus to enjoy them for a lot longer.
Dude, did you order the new iPhone 17 Pro? Got it from Verizon, the best 5G network in America. I've never looked so good.
You look the same.
But with this camera, everything looks better, especially me.
You haven't changed your hair in 15 years. Selfies? Check, please.
New and existing customers can get the new iPhone 17 Pro, designed to be the most powerful iPhone ever. With eligible phone trade-in and unlimited ultimate. Any condition guaranteed. Best 5G source root metrics data, United States, 1H 2025. All rights reserved. Trade-in and additional terms apply for all offers. See Verizon.com for details.
If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key. And that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
In the heat of battle, your squad relies on you. Don't let them down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Dominate every match with next-level speed, seamless streaming, and performance that won't quit, so you can push your gameplay beyond performance with Intel Core Ultra processors for the next era of gaming. Upgrade to smooth, high-quality streaming with Intel Wi-Fi 6E and maximize game performance with enhanced overclocking. Win the tech search. Power up at Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. Hey, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I don't know if you've heard, but Mint's premium wireless is $15 a month. But I'd like to offer one other perk. We have no stores. That means no small talk. Crazy weather we're having. No, it's not. It's just weather. It is an introvert's dream. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Oh, Aubrey, there's obviously so much big love in your family that is sort of, surviving beyond the grave, which is nothing short of beautiful. And I just wanted to say, right, because it sounds like Aubrey went through a really harrowing time with multiple miscarriages. And I just wanted to say, if you are somebody that is listening to this that, is struggling to conceive for whatever reason, just know that there's people who know the struggle and that you're not struggling on your own. And I do think a lot of people struggle to talk about miscarriages and baby loss, and you can talk about it. It's important to talk about it, and you deserve to talk about it, and you deserve to feel sad about it. And I think that our brains and our psyche, or the universe, or whatever you want to call it, is pretty amazing. Like Aubrey, you were saying that you dreamed about the miscarriages before they happened. Like you knew they were coming. And there's so many ways you can interpret that. Like you can say that it was, that it was paranormal, it was supernatural, it was spiritual, or you could say that it was your body being so in tune with itself that it is warning you, it is telling you this is coming before it's even coming. And I do think that's pretty amazing. And I am also going to say that, like, nobody listening to this should think that you're a monster for hoping and praying to keep your grandmother alive when it was somebody who you had this, like, amazing relationship with. You know, there's no judgment here, and nobody should judge anybody who is facing down death and really struggling with it after experiencing immense loss already. Nobody knows how they're going to react when they're faced with a particular situation, and no two people will react in the same way to the same situation. So, you know, no judgment here. All that to say. I also think that it is such a beautiful thing, this idea that we have, that, you know, there seems to be lots of, at least anecdotal evidence for, that people come to collect their loved ones when they're dying. Like your grandmother saying, you know, Lottie, how did you get here? And Lottie being her loved one coming to get her. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. Like, Christ, I hope when I'm dying that the people that I've loved and lost will come and get me, you know, because God, what a beautiful thing to think of. To think, you know, death might be scary and death might be the unknown, but at least you get to see the people that you've loved and lost. And it really does sound like she has been with you ever since, you know, that you just have had this gorgeous connection and being able to feel her and having that connection with your loved ones that have lost, like being able to see these blue glittery lights and feeling like a portal had opened and your uncle's silhouette. I mean, those are such gorgeous things, to know that they are looking out for you, to know that they're, you know, proud of the baby, that they've seen the baby and they're looking after the baby. And God, that's gorgeous. My favourite bit of this whole story, by the way, was your great-grandmother playing Ouija board with her eyes closed. Because if you're not looking, it's not a sin. I'm using that from now on for everything in my life. If I can't see it, if I'm not looking, it's just not a sin. And we've talked so many times about the connection that we have with our pets, our animals, and the joy of feeling them come back as well. It's just incredible. I will say that Bimmy's never come back to me. I think probably because she's, like you described, that little black Spitfire cat that you got. Bimmy was my version of that, and I think she wouldn't be arsed coming back to let me know that she was okay. She'd be like, oh, whatever, I'm just happy. Doing my own thing, thanks very much. I think your stories are gorgeous, and I think it's so important to share these stories so that other people can feel like their stories are validated and justified, and that they can get some closure from them. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Thank you to Aubrey for sending in your stories. Remember, if you would like to send in your story, you can do so by emailing it to reallifeghoststoriespodcast@gmail.com. You can also check out the website reallifeghoststoriespodcast.com. And if you are desperate for some extra content, you can subscribe to the Patreon. That is patreon.com/reallifeghoststories, where for $5 a month or $2 a month, you can get access to heaps of extra content, as well as every single main and mini episode completely ad-free. And on that note, I shall see you next time.
Dude, did you order the new iPhone 17 Pro? Got it from Verizon, the best 5G network in America. I've never looked so good.
You look the same.
But with this camera, everything looks better, especially me.
You haven't changed your hair in 15 years. Selfies? Check, please.
New and existing customers can get the new iPhone 17 Pro, designed to be the most powerful iPhone ever. With eligible phone trade-in and unlimited ultimate. Any condition guaranteed. Best 5G source root metrics data, United States, 1H 2025. All rights reserved. Trade-in and additional terms apply for all offers. See Verizon.com for details.